Okay, I think we could probably go ahead and get started. So hi everybody. This is the April 16th, 2025 meeting of the Bristol Energy Committee, 7 o'clock via Zoom. I sent out the agenda a little bit later than I normally do, so apologies there. But first item is citizen comments and concerns. Jim or group, anybody have anything? No? Okay.
Um,
And right on time. Hello, Dan.
Not exactly right on time, but
No, you're right on time because you're next on the agenda. So,
oh,
the second agenda item is a little bit of a membership update for everybody. So, at one of the March, I forget which March meeting it was, maybe it was late March, Dan was appointed to the Bristol Energy Committee by Select Board. So, congratulations, Dan, and welcome. We're very glad you're here. Thanks for
stuck with
stepping
me
up.
for a while now.
Yeah, I think is it a 3-year term, right? Is that right?
I guess I didn't know what I was what the term was, so they said
That's all
three
right.
years. Like, all right, well,
I
we're
think I
all
think
still here in
Joel's
3 years.
I think Joel said, what did he say? My condolences, maybe after it was approved. I think that's what he
Yeah,
said.
yeah,
Hey, I've
Classic.
been here for about, I don't know, what, 7, 8 years.
That's
I'm
right.
doing great. It's fun.
Yeah, it's great. We love it here. It's
okay,
good. And it's good to get new, fresh people, fresh perspectives, and
Yeah,
people in different parts of the town. So we're really glad you're here, Dan. So thank you again. Um,
great. Wait, glad to be here. Thank you.
all right. So with the pleasantries out of the way, does anybody have anything to add to the agenda?
Yeah, I'd like to just kind of give a report on the climate council meetings that are going on, the listening
Yeah,
session.
yeah, go for it.
You want me to do that now, or do you want to put it down
No,
on?
I mean I can put it down. I'll put it a little further down. So uh climate council meeting update. Okay.
I have
All
something
right.
too.
Yeah, go ahead, Sally.
Um, Talking about our farmers market or, our possible tent on the green. I'd like to talk about that. If this seems like reasonable, do we need to talk about it ahead of time or are we already in for sure?
I mean, I think well, let's put it on there. We can talk about it at the end.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Uh, and maybe we can also talk about the an update on the Harvest Festival as well. That'll be a short update, but we'll talk about when we get there. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? No? Okay. Update. Okay. Okay, and then I sent out the March meeting minutes. Does anybody have any comments or clarifications on the March meeting minutes?
I move to approve. They're good as usual.
I will
Mhm.
second that. All in favor of approving the meeting minutes as listed? Aye, or raise your
Yep.
hand. All right, unanimous. Thank you, everybody. Okay, now some interesting stuff. So item 5 on the agenda is the town energy. I'm calling it the town energy plan grant. And then in parentheses there, I have the energy efficiency and conservation block grants funding. That was something that Julian had talked to us about. He had presented it as an idea for the Bristol to have Bristol's energy plan revised with a couple of other towns. And so the update that we got from Julian on the 25th of March was that unfortunately the submission deadline for the grant was missed. I guess there was some clerical things going on the um, on their end or on the AC Aspen County Regional Planning Commission's end, but all hope was not lost because the state energy office decided to reopen applications, so the window reopened. I talked to Julian briefly 2 days ago, and the update is that we resubmitted. He did end up submitting the application, and I think at this point we're just waiting to hear back if we are going to be awarded the funding. I think positive optimism is the way I'm feeling about it. So hopefully that's what happens. But I'll keep this item on the agenda, and I'll follow up with Julian just so that I'm we're kind of in the loop. At this point, I don't think there's anything for Bristol to do. I don't think there's anything for the Energy Committee to do other than, I'll just be a fly in Julian's ear. So the good news is we got the application in ultimately, and now we're just kind of waiting to hear back. So
Great.
That's item 5. Item 6, the SEAC Energy Navigators and Veep/Veep event update. So there's been a lot of email traffic. There was a flurry of email traffic about that. So when the dust settled, so to speak, Richard did reserve Holly Hall from 5:30 to 8 on the 18th of June. So thank you, Richard, for coordinating that. I saw Meredith's response too, so we're good there. Um, I'm gonna check in with Adelia and Veep after this meeting, now that things have kind of settled down, to just see if there's anything else they need from us. I can confirm that we've got the space lined up and everything, the time frame, just to check in, just to kind of make sure they don't need anything else from us maybe going forward. Um, so hopefully we're good and we can just continue to get excited for that event. The other thing I wanted to ask about or present as an idea is how much should we be marketing it on Front Porch Forum? Is there any other places people think we can post about it or anything like that?
Did you say Holly Hall or Howden Hall?
Holly
Holly.
Hall.
Great, okay. Yeah, that helps us just go wild with invitations. Great.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, I think I love to be a part of inviting people to things like that, Front
Yeah.
Porch Forum and stuff like that. And so I just need to have really the latest on what's actually going to happen there.
Yeah, and I'll compile all the information as I understand it. I know we had kind of picked the sort of topic, one of the focus topics. So like I'll kind of compile all of that into like a very distilled format, and then we can kind of use that as our pitch or posting
Yeah.
on Front Porch Forum and that sort of thing.
And maybe even run it by SEAC, do you think,
Yep.
to make sure they feel like,
Our,
oh yeah, we're all on the same page
we're
here.
representing it properly, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
We also talked about posters, maybe getting some visuals out around
Right.
town.
Yeah,
Do
Yes,
we
that's
want
right.
to do that too?
Yes, I
Because
think
that could
so.
help with that part. I'm not going to be present on the day of, but I'd be happy to work on some of that. So if some of the source material could be put out there, we can have a little fun with it, and maybe we
cool,
can get posters around in the businesses around town.
cool.
Yeah, that's a
I'm
great idea.
I'm wondering if we should issue invitations to New Haven and maybe Starksboro Energy Committees. Let them know it's happening and then invite them to invite their people.
Yeah,
I think
I
it
think
sounds good.
that's a good idea. Right,
I
again,
can,
I think this would all be predicated on, I'll just have to, compile something that's the short, maybe it's a paragraph that we can send to those other energy committees, or it's a couple sentences for Front Porch Forum, or, Dan, some inspiration for a flyer or something. And then that way, all of our messaging, whether it's on a flyer in a business or it's in an email to Starksboro, it all kind of says the same thing. I think that sort of
Yeah,
consistency so that everyone understands what we're trying or what the event will be, I think is important. So,
that
but yeah, I
sounds
think that's a
great.
great idea.
I think we can get maybe some images from Veep um, that could be used as part of the posters, showing the stuff they do. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I can do that. I can talk when I talk to them, when I talk to Veep and SEAC, I'll uh see if they have anything they suggest. They may have a template too that they have used for other ones or past ones that
Mhm.
we can draw from inspiration from.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Anybody have anything else on that? The SEAC Veep event?
Are we going to have, I think we were going to see if we could maybe approach Cubbers about a deal on pizza or something. Do we still want to do that kind of thing?
I
Um,
think that oh,
oh,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Sally. No, go ahead, Sally.
Oh, having just done something with a Holly Hall, there's I don't know, maybe Holly Hall's fine with it, but sometimes there's an extra cost or an extra something when you do food there, some kind of
Mhm.
thing. But maybe Holly Hall's just going to do whatever the Bristol Energy Committee wants to do. I don't know.
Well, we can do it on the big sign up form. You check off what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I did check off that there will be refreshments.
Oh, okay. Done
And
then.
that raises another issue. Um, that maybe we ought to approach the select board about at some point. But there is a charge for this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been paying them mainly because I'm too lazy to figure out who to ask for money.
Yeah.
But I think this particular event is $100. And, I'll ask. One time I asked Meredith, I said, this is a town energy
Totally.
committee event
Yeah.
and waive the fee. So that'll be my first strategy.
I think that's really important to push because, I mean, does the planning commission have to pay money if they have a meeting there or the select board or I don't know. It just seems crazy to, it's one thing. I mean, I'm gonna go ahead, Jim.
Just so you guys know, if you have laid out any money yourselves, if you talk to the town administrator, the administrator can authorize up to a certain amount to pay you back for whatever you laid out on monies. So you might want, I don't know if Ian's aware of that in the interim, but that's been the procedure in the past. On my police commission, I did that constantly whenever we had an expense. So,
Okay, that's good advice. Thank you.
Yeah. It's kind of nice. It takes it out of Meredith's hands to have to decide who can and who can't and let the administrator decide. I think that's good. So Meredith just charges so that money comes in to take care of the building and then the administrator can decide. That's great.
So, Richard, would you reach out? Do you want to reach out to Ian about
Yeah,
that directly?
I will.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. Excellent. Okay, and I guess actually when I talk to Veep and SEAC, I will ask them if they think because if it's kind of a more active thing, there might be an active engagement part of it. What degree, what level of refreshments we should offer? Is people eating pizza gonna work, or is it more like we can bring I was at something the biking trail thing a couple weeks ago, and it was like cookies and water and coffee. Is that more appropriate for this type of a thing? I'll get a feel from them what they think too, and maybe that'll help kind of decide for us, maybe.
Yeah.
This is sort of during the dinner hour, so that's why we were talking
Yeah.
about it beforehand. Although it's funny, last night the Climate Council meeting at CVU, they had advertised that there was going to be pizza and sandwiches and stuff like that. And basically, they had sandwiches and water because it started at 6 o'clock and went through to 8. And so that was very welcome.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I think what I found too is at events, if you just kind of have it on a table in the back
Oh,
where
yeah.
people go back there and they can have a little bite, but it's not like you have it all over the tables and in people's computers and everything where they're working and all that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Jim.
maybe to make myself clear, I was saying that if you had laid out money already, you have a way of getting it back. I don't know about this, what you guys want to do, but you might check with Meredith and Ian on that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna let pass stuff. That's fine. But it'd be good to know if once we do this thing and the bill is due, if we can get support from the town, that'd be great. Or if Meredith will waive it. So I'll check.
Okay. All right. Anything else on this item? Hearing none. Item 7 is an update on the EV chargers. So the only thing that I have seen in the last little while has been AZ presented a draft. And I think Jim, you had mentioned this the last meeting too. AZ had presented a draft or was had presented a draft zoning exception maybe to the planning commission. And then I believe it actually went before the select board, but I did not make it to that select board meeting, so I'm not entirely sure where things stand there. But I can take that as an action item to look into. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
I can give it to you right now, yeah. Planning board meeting the other night, AZ was discussing it with them. They're going through the stages of making up these, so I guess, rules or additions to the planning commission. So might check with AZ directly and see what her plan is on.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. I should do that because as far as I know, that's the only sort of real inertia moving right now. I haven't heard from Norwich in a while, actually. I probably owe them a follow-up too to see if they've heard anything about the schedule for it, and kind of what the what the next sort of order of operations is, and that sort of thing. So I'll take that too. Zoning, schedule and funding. Okay, so more to come on that, I think. Hopefully a more concrete update by the next meeting or maybe sooner. Um, okay, MERP. So Allison's not here, but David is here. David, do you anything to report on with MERP?
Yeah, we have a few updates. We had two meetings regarding Holly Hall and the MERP grant. And the first one was with Tom Shea of Deconstruction Works, I think it's called, about removing the trim of it in a historic building. And we were sort of giving him a feel for it, whether or not he would actually do the work, but we wanted to get his feedback about it and see, didn't give us any prices or anything, although he might be doing that. I'm not sure. He was going to try to put something together, but just on the looking at the scope and what would have to be done and in a historic building. And so that was very instructive. And then we had another meeting with Asher Nelson, who was the architect that the town is going to get a proposal from and probably work with for the MERP project. And I guess we've been delaying because I guess the town was trying to figure out whether or not this would have to be a competitive bid kind of thing where you get maybe 3 architects. And I think Jolien kind of mentioned something like that, like some other towns are doing that, but the town was okay with just going with Asher, and he knows the project and all that. And just as a follow-up to another aspect of this is that they're trying to tie the library and Holly Hall together. So they'll have, let's say, Asher Nelson's from Vermont Integrated Architecture, and they would do both projects. And so they thought they'd get sort of a little bit of a economy of scale there, that maybe their fees won't be as high because they're doing both. I don't know. And just wanted to also say that in that meeting, Frida Powers said that the money for the library, this is kind of outside of the MERP, but it's connected now. The library money is also safe, so to speak, and so is the MERP, that those two things are going to go ahead. So I think there was some, I had talked to Katie Riordan, like, I don't know, maybe a few weeks, maybe a month ago, asked her about the funding, and she said she didn't really know what was going on, whether they're going to get it or not. So things are moving kind of slowly. The one thing that we're wrestling with is we can't get a contractor, or we can't find a contractor. We reached out to like 6 different entities, firms, and it's been difficult. Some people want to just do part of the project and not others, and this is one thing we've been talking about, and Ian has been exploring, is whether or not we'd get a construction manager type of person that would just pull in someone like Tom Shea to do the kind of deconstruction work, you know, the salvaging of the trim and all that, and then, you know, somebody else to do the energy work and somebody else to do the you know, the heat pumps and the ventilation system and stuff like that. So that's the latest we've been exploring on that. So it's kind of it in the nutshell. That's where we are right now, and they're waiting to get a proposal from Asher Nelson and his group.
And the work that Asher would do, is that like a scope development sort of like design? Is it kind of design based on the findings of the MERP report?
Yeah.
And then so I guess now trying to tie it together with the library grant or the library work, which is separate and distinct from what's happening
Yes.
at Holly Hall. Yeah.
Yeah. So Asher would be putting together a series of documents for, let's say, a contractor or subcontractor to work from. So they would be doing all the coordination from the design side standpoint.
Gotcha.
Right now. So that's going to be his role. I think they might be doing some cost, looking at some costs as well. But right now, I think we really need someone to kind of pull together all these kind of pieces on the scope and put it into drawings and specs and all that. And it's probably going to be a pretty lean set because first of all, it's not a huge, complicated project, really. I don't think really, but we were going to have to go through the state historic. I never remember the name of that agency, but the historic agency, state of Vermont, and
Historic designation.
we need what's that? I'm sorry, Sally.
Historic designation, whatever.
It's the.
I don't know.
Anyway, it's the state.
I'll look it up and put it in the notes. Don't worry.
For historic resources, I think. Anyway, they're going to need to know what we're doing, and we need so we need to document what we're going to be doing and what we're going to do with the salvage material while the rest of the building's being insulated and stuff, and so that we'll probably have a meeting with them. I think Ian's trying to set that up in the next couple of weeks to talk to historic too. So it's moving ahead. It's not going very fast. It's a little bit like the 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing. But it's just the getting a contractor to commit is really become difficult as it is everywhere for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder too if part of the issue is that we're not the only town doing this, right? And so they're probably they can be a little bit pickier and choosier, and I would imagine there's a desire, and it may even be a part of the grant to keep as much of the work in Vermont as possible. And so if there's a contractor shortage, you can't necessarily expand your radius of searching for a contractor. So kind of as a sort of I could see how that would be challenging and have to slow things down a little bit, but
I think there were some thoughts about looking south, not outside of Vermont, but maybe further south. Looking at people from like Manchester and that area. Yeah, it's not very close, but it potentially might work if there's. I don't think there's. I think the radius of anyone who'd want to be interested in this kind of project. I don't think I'm not sure if someone from New York would want to, mobilize and get a crew all the way over here for a relatively small project.
Right. I wonder too if getting once Archer has sort of a design product, if that's comprehensive, because right now it's sort of we're going off of, I would imagine they're trying to talk to contractors based solely on the report findings. And so like that's I wonder if having a design, having drawings and maybe a spec or two, once is available, will that help? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, we did actually we sort of synthesized all that information, Matt Sharp and I and Ian wrote a scope of work for each project for the library as well, just like, heat pump, blah, 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 this ventilation system, and, we're insulating the walls, and we described it, what we're doing, and it wasn't a drawing, but it was a pretty good narrative of what we're doing. So we're not just throwing out the report. That would be really confusing. Because
Definitely.
there's a lot of stuff in there about, car chargers and all
Yeah,
sorts
things
of
that aren't happening,
you
right?
wouldn't
Yeah.
want. Yeah, things that aren't happening, exactly. And,
Right.
so
Okay.
yeah, so we defined it a little bit better in a narrative
Yeah.
form. So I think it's, for what it is, it's kind of like a mini spec or mini scope of work that we
Right.
provided. So that was
Yeah.
that was a good exercise too. So for us to really pare down exactly what we're expecting someone to.
That always seems to be the tricky part, right? Is if it's not distilled to like a really, really straightforward level, you might not get a lot of interest. And just for everybody else's understanding on this, this is an engineer and an architect talking back and forth. So this is like, we love this stuff. So that's why I keep asking so many questions.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. That's true.
anyways.
And I don't know, Dan, I don't know if do you know this MERP project?
I have the bare bones just from coming to
Okay,
these
yeah.
meetings,
So
but yeah,
it's a
I'm
grant.
getting a sense of what
Yeah,
it's all about.
grant
But
program last year for municipal buildings to improve their energy performance and reduce energy burdens on communities. And we were considered a heavily energy burdened community. So there were points in our favor for that. We did get the grant, not totally everything we needed, but the town's going to make up the shortfall.
Yeah.
Well, at least that's what they say. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I think so.
Dan, I can send you the report that came back. You should have that anyway.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll send it to you.
Yep, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks, David, for the update. Anything else, or I mean, that was a pretty sounds like you said it's moving, just moving at 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but that's okay. We'll get there. Okay, so the next item is one that we added at the beginning of the meeting, the Climate Council meetings update from Richard. So Richard, go for it.
Okay, the reason I wanted to report on it is that it's very interesting because people who attended the meeting, very big representation from energy committees. And of course, the reason for that is that the action plan involves so many energy related issues. And so, as you may know, the plan was adopted in 2021. And part of the plan is that every 4 years, it has to be updated. And so the Climate Council is now in the process of updating the plan. They're doing right now a month of listening, traveling around the state to 7 locations. And then there are 2 virtual meetings. One was on Monday. And then the CVU was actually the second of the in-person meetings. The other one was in Hartford this week. Anyway, the idea is that they want to hear what people think. And I've been meeting with the Climate Council, the Act on Climate Council, in a subgroup to put together a kind of a unified front. And so we've had a lot of meetings, and including one before the meeting last night for an hour or so in the town hall before we went up to the high school. And basically, there are several things that have emerged as being really important right now. And the first one is, as you probably know, the administration and the Republican part of the legislature has been submitting bills to significantly weaken the provisions of the act and things that have already been passed. They want to roll back because they're concerned about cost. They're concerned about impacts on towns and so on. They're all legitimate concerns. I've been in touch with Steve Hefferman a good bit on this stuff. We've had some interesting conversations, and I really respect him. He answers my emails, and I think we have a good relationship, even though we don't agree on some of these issues. But at any rate, the Climate Council is required by law to facilitate the all of the things that were written into the Climate Council into the Climate Action Plan when it was passed. And so one of the major things that we were trying to do, all of the energy committees particularly, was urging the Climate Council to move forward with the Climate Action Plan and its deadlines as passed, and not to pause or roll back any of its provisions. The legislature is probably going to roll some things back, and probably there are a couple of provisions that were so complicated, the Clean Heat Standard, that they are going to be rolled back and rethought. And everybody's kind of aware of that and kind of accepting it at this point. But some of the high points that we were asking for, the expansion of community solar with particular support for low and middle income homeowners, renters, and landlords. The ability for low and middle income folks to purchase EV, hybrid EV, and plug-in hybrids, and also assistance to help install charging stations. And the issue, I think the underlying issue with all of this is these things are expensive, and yet we're not going to meet climate goals, reducing pollution, unless people adopt these things. And if people can't afford them, or if it's a burden on them, they're not going to do it. And so we're going to miss the targets, and the climate situation is getting much worse. There's real fear for what's coming up. If you read the data, as I do just about every day, things are not good at all. Anyway, in addition, the expansion of urban, suburban, and rural transit routes to enable low and middle income folks to get around throughout the week and day. Assistance for weatherization and insulation, and enable the purchase of heat pumps and heat pump hot water heaters. And then this is one that is probably one of the biggest ones that we felt last night. It came up again and again. And that's partnering with a cap and trade or cap and invest program similar to the Western Climate Initiative or the New York cap and invest program that they're working hard to pass right now. And I don't know if you're aware of what these are, but 16 years ago, Joey Miller said last night, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, RGGI, was passed. And the major New England states, and even down into Maryland and New York, are cooperating on essentially a program that sets caps for emissions for the production of electricity. So any kind of plant that is generating electricity falls under this Reggie agreement. If they do not meet the targets, there are then financial penalties, and the money collected has been coming back to the states. And in Vermont, it's been used for weatherization programs. And so a cap and invest program for uh, basically for heating and for transportation fuels would be much bigger than Reggie and provide much more money and have a much bigger impact because the biggest polluters are transportation and heating, the thermal sector. Those amount to almost 80% of the pollution. And so it would have a tremendous impact. But what really appeals to me is the money that will come in if this is put into effect will facilitate the earlier stuff that I mentioned. For example, driving down the cost of community solar, driving down the cost of heat pumps for people. And so the group that was there was very adamant about the need to stay on path for the climate action plan, resist um, any tendency on the part of the council to roll back, and then to be sure to include updated versions of these things that I mentioned and more. One other thing that is going to be very important is accurate data collection. And so I don't know if you remember, but we talked about, hang on a second, I've got to move. Second, go in the other room. Some time ago, we talked about the dashboards. Do you remember that? The town boards that showed
Yes.
that energy use or energy savings by various sectors and what potential targets might be. And those are all things that don't have any teeth. In other words, yeah, so maybe we need to have more EVs in town, electric vehicles. But the data isn't really strong right now that's available to energy committees, for example. But the data is there. Apparently, we learned last night that there is significant data collection in the state from various sources about number of heat pumps, for example, in the state. Through registration, the number of EVs in each town could be parsed out and so on. And so one of the things that is going to be important that we were urging is that this data collection be strengthened and that it then be made available to regional planning commissions and eventually to towns to help with energy planning. So that if we had hard data, we could go to the select board and as an energy committee make recommendations on where we're falling short and where maybe we need to generate some plans to address that. So these are really serious meetings. I really urge you, I'll send around, in case you don't have it, the information on how to tune in to at the very least. The last meeting I think is April 29th or 30th, the virtual meeting. And I think it would be well worth tuning into that. If anybody's interested, I'm going down to Rutland to that meeting that one's either the 29th or 30th, I forget which is which. But I'm going to drive down to Rutland Because one of the things that the Climate Coalition, the Act on Climate Coalition, is worried about is that there won't be enough public input at some of these meetings. The one at CVU, there were 50 to 60 people there, including lots of our colleagues from Starksboro and Middlebury and Heinsberg and then of course Chittenden County because we're so close to Burlington. But Rutland's another story. We're already learning that it's getting hard to attract people to go to the one in Rutland. And so we're going to try to get some people to go down and strengthen the crowd there. The format is very interesting. And you're seated around on tables and you answer questions. And there's this thing that some of you might run into where you point your phone at a QR code on the table, and that brings up this thing called memes. If any of you run into memes, the facilitator can post questions on your phone that you can answer, and then AI collects them all real time and puts them up on the screen in terms of how many and what the distribution is. In some ways, it's spooky as hell, but it enabled you to register your comments and for them to record them accurately and very quickly. And then, of course, we had conversation. Anyway, this is super important stuff if we're going to make any progress. So I want you to be aware of it. The other thing is, in talking to some of the other Energy Committee members, I really do think we need to maybe work together with our neighbors a little bit more in developing some programs and getting kind of ideas for what the others are doing. So that's my piece.
Richard,
Can I
can
just
I
ask,
ask a
Richard, did you
question?
say, oh, sorry,
Go
David.
ahead, Sally. Go ahead.
David, you said checking with our neighbors, you mean states like Massachusetts, that kind of state neighbors? Or what are you
I'm
talking about?
talking about New Haven and Heinsberg.
Okay, great. Okay, I thought,
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask when you made that comment, same comment that Sally just spoke about. Were you thinking that we should work with New Haven because they need our help, or is it because we're just stronger if we're united, or are they doing something that we should learn from?
I think all of the above.
Okay.
We had a little bit of interaction with Brandon a few years ago before COVID, and they were doing some really interesting stuff. And one of the people at my table was a woman who's been chair of the Energy Committee in Heinsberg, and we traded emails, and we're gonna try to see if we can get our committees together at some point just to become acquainted and then see where that goes. And some of the energy committees are doing very interesting things. So we need to learn about that. And I think what we're doing with SEAC and VEEP is something that other energy committees might want to know too. So I think it's mutual support.
Yeah, I think in general, the principle of like, we are all like-minded people if you're on an energy committee and we all have sort of similar interest in this subject. And look where I live. I could see New Haven out my window. Like, like we're all here, we're all doing this, and we are all subject to the implications of this topic. So I agree. I think more collaboration with the towns around us makes sense.
So I'll be working on that and reporting back. I'm finding the Act on Climate Coalition has been a really good organization to bring a whole lot of us together. And that's really been useful.
I went to the virtual one last week. I guess it was on April 10th. And I think there were 3 or 4 members of the climate council that were there. I don't know how many were in person in Heinsberg, but it felt like they were really listening. It wasn't just, checking a box sort of thing. And I I put a comment in the chat, and I had one of them reach out to me. So it felt like there was some meat to the bones there. So it's good to hear that the in person was similarly fruitful.
Yeah, it was. Joey Miller was there, who's actually on the Ackland Climate Coalition, and 2 others. There was also the chair, one of the co-chairs, I guess, of the Public Utilities Commission. Um, and they're all listening. They're there to listen, not talk. And um, and also, I know that the Climate Council is kind of split between members appointed by the administration, members appointed by the legislature, and then there are community members. So, for example, Joey Miller is representing one of the climate not-for-profits. Uh, there there is a plan to knock a few of the public um, uh, council members off. Jared Duval, for example, is the data guy, uh, who's been very helpful, and the administration wants to eliminate that and another citizen kind of position and appoint some more industry oriented positions. And so that's a whole other issue that we can't talk about at these climate action meetings, because what we're focusing on is what the council can do, not the politics surrounding it. But that's just kind of background. So the counselors who are there are really listening and looking for good uh, information, ammunition to try to hold up the work of the council. I mean, to keep it moving forward. I'm very impressed with what they're doing.
So Richard, if you can send any information about these meetings, I will put my hand up and say I don't think I've heard of this, so I'm feeling a little embarrassed for having admitted that, but it is what it is. So yeah, I think, and Dan too, if you Dan or Richard, well, there you go. Dan's already on it. Nice.
There it is.
Yep.
Yep.
The
All right.
Rutland one is on the 30th, and the last virtual one is on May 1st.
So if anybody wants to drive down with me, let me know. It's actually a fun event.
I'm gonna put that link in the meeting minutes, so thank you for that, Dan. Am I mute? No, okay.
Richard, what day are you going down?
The 30th, April 30th.
Okay,
Probably have to leave around 3:30, 4 o'clock, because there's a kind of an organizing meeting ahead of the actual meeting.
all right.
So let me know.
All right, thanks. I will check my schedule and see what's cooking.
Okay.
I always find it really uplifting to be able to be in a situation where people are really talking about stuff and, all that.
Well, at the end, one of the people, just one of the people who attended, said, this is what democracy looks like.
Hmm.
And God, we need a dose of that right now.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Richard. That's That was very good, very detailed. I took very good notes. Don't worry, everybody. We'll all be able to read it
So you're
soon.
you're awesome, Ben.
I know.
It's you know I was so happy last night that I got my cell phone to work on these memes because I'm so challenged with this stuff, and the fact that you can take notes while you're running a meeting, you
Yeah,
know, it just blows my mind.
yeah. Well, you know, he is a juggler
Yep. Oh,
True.
are you?
while he's
Amateur.
while he's riding a little unicycle or something like
Oh
that.
my God.
I'm an amateur. Oh, we don't need to get into that. This meeting is recorded. Nobody needs to hear about my.
Well, you have to do that. You have to do that at the Holly Hall event.
Maybe I'll bring my juggling equipment. I think I
Well,
could probably do that.
That would be so awesome. That would add a lot of joy to
I'll
the
have to
scene.
practice, but all right. I'll
A lot of
I'll think about it.
You
your
could label
practice
the
would be just as fun.
you could label the balls heat pump out water
How
heaters.
do you juggle all the things in your home? Look, it writes itself. Oh boy. Okay. Oh yeah, we have one other thing that we added to the agenda. Farmers Market and Harvest Festival table update. I'll just say quickly about the Harvest Festival. I have been monitoring the Chamber of Commerce's website. I have yet to find a way to sign up as a vendor. Maybe I'm missing it, but I will try to stay on top of that to make sure we do not miss out like we did in 24. So it's on my radar, and so I'll get in as soon as I am able to.
Who's the head of the Chamber of Commerce? Do we know?
Good question. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know,
don't,
but I can find out.
it might be worth just calling and saying, hey, let me can I make sure I get my email, get an email about the Harvest Fest, or can you tell me when
When does it
registration
open up?
starts?
Yeah, just so I can at least get it on my own personal calendar. Yeah, I'll take it. I will look into that. And if I can't figure it out, Courtney and with Core does a lot with the chambers, so I could just
Oh,
ask her. Maybe she knows.
oh, great.
I finally met her the other day in the stationery shop.
You met Courtney?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Yeah, she's great.
very, very nice. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think so.
What did you do?
You don't say. Uh, so for the farmers market, I guess similar, maybe similar. I have yet. I don't know what. I guess I should say I don't know what stage they're Courtney and Sarah, who's the farmers market coordinator. Not sure where they're at in the farmers market planning process. Um, but I can definitely talk to Courtney about, or maybe I just reach out to Sarah about making sure we've got a spot, or and I think from the last time I talked to him about it, since we are a town-based sort of volunteer organization, we can essentially have a table whenever we want one, and we wouldn't have to pay for it.
Great.
Sounds good. I
You
was
know,
thinking that, oh, I was thinking that I could maybe store my tent in my office, like waiting room area, so that it would be really easy access, and then we could just grab it from there and set it up instead of have to pick it up from my shed, which is down the hill and all this. So, and then have a few other things there, like some of the Efficiency Vermont things, and some of the stuff could be right there by the green, so that it would be easy access for setup and breakdown for whoever's doing it at any time.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
do you think we ought to contact SEAC and see if they would want to partner with us sometimes, be a presence? Because they're looking to give,
Yeah.
audits to help people.
Yeah, I think it's worth doing that. I think we should, you know, ask different people who might want to be there, and then find out how we can get it fit in. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I'll put that on my list of things to talk to SEAC about, in
But I
addition
think
to the
making,
event.
go ahead.
Well, go ahead, Sally.
I think making sure that we're, Bristol Energy Committee is focusing on, Bristol in a way. But certainly SEAC has so much to offer. Be great to,
That's my thinking. If they want to engage our folks, that'd
oh,
be a
that'd be
good
fabulous.
way to do it.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
And the more things at a tent, at a table,
Right.
the better,
I
just
agree,
a variety of things to take a look at and talk about.
definitely.
If possible, get it near an electrical outlet.
Well, I was going to mention that whole solar panel thing that was part of our flurry about a month ago as well. And I'm not sure this is even known, but all, excuse me,
Sorry about my clock.
um, all Earth. Now that I want to talk, I can't talk. All Earth Renewables is having a sale of gently used panels on this coming Tuesday, on Earth Day.
Oh,
And I don't think they've actually advertised it yet in Front Porch Forum. They've been kind of going back and forth on when they wanted to. They had originally scheduled it,
no.
I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and then weather and stuff. But they are going to do, I guess they're calling it a pop-up kind of sale. And I guess this is just general knowledge too, but it could be something that the committee might be interested in. On Tuesday, they are selling 24 panels, if you want to buy 24 panels, for $200.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. So that works out, I don't know what that is. I don't do math, $8 or something a panel. For like 310-watt panels, which are not nothing. But if so we here at Bristol Village Co-housing, we're gonna get a pallet. But if we want to have a little prop for the Bristol Energy Committee tent, something that we could even plug into a micro inverter, we wouldn't need a electrical outlet anywhere. We could just run it off of there. Mostly for show, but
Yeah,
show is good. I mean, that's kind of what
yeah,
the
I
tents are
love
about.
this idea. I think this
definitely.
is a great idea.
Yeah,
So should
I
we
think I might have to
grab
make
one?
my way over there on Earth Day. See if they'll sell me just one panel or something, and then maybe
Yeah,
I
I
can
think they
get a
will.
I think
Yeah,
like I
think
could
they
get
will.
the inverter, and maybe I can get a LED or something, a fan, something. Maybe there's something
Yep.
there. Yeah,
yeah,
Yep.
really,
I love that. I'm an
yeah,
electrical engineer. I should be able to put something like that together, right? I mean,
totally.
some wires and wire strippers. I don't know.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
and then on a hot day, we could bring the fan for people, and on a
Exactly.
Yeah,
cool day,
yeah.
something else.
Incredible.
Mhm.
We actually did something like that a long time ago when I lived in Virginia. We were trying to set up an eco village there, and we went to a couple of festivals, and we had the little portable solar thing set up, and it was July in Virginia, and we had a little misting fan, and it was all eco-friendly, and people just flocked to it.
It's
And
more
then
just
we
like a
did,
prop to sort of engage people, right? To just say, hey,
yeah,
this look which this is a concept. Like now imagine this is your house, and like that sort of
right, right.
yeah.
I'll forward to you guys a link to a Washington Post article um, evaluating all of the energy saving devices and their performance and payout. And one of the things that really registered with me is solar panels. To purchase solar panels, um, it's a very, very good payout compared to, say, purchasing heat pumps, um, which I found in my own house and at my church. Um, the purchase of solar panels has about an 8-year payout before you're essentially getting free electricity. Heat pumps, depending on where you live, the payout is 48 years.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
And the reason is they're expensive, they use energy, um, they don't last forever. So over a period of time, you're going to be replacing them. And so it's all the more reason why, if we want people to invest in heat pumps, we got to subsidize them. We got to make them cheaper. Otherwise, because we want people to electrify to reduce pollution. There's that's still an overriding reason. But you know, when I think about what I've spent to add energy saving stuff to this house at my age, they're going to have to drop money on my gravestone because they ain't no, I'm not going to make it to the payouts. But, you know, I'm still committed to doing it because of the pollution reduction. And so, you know, we're willing to do it, but also we're in a position to do it. So I'll send that to you. It's interesting.
It sounds interesting.
Heat pump hot water heaters are very good also.
Okay, so I guess where do we land on farmers market? I'll talk to Courtney and Sarah. I'll see if All Earth will sell me one panel. That'll be. I'll see if I can figure that out. And then I'll also include a conversation when I talk to SEAC about our event in June about if they'd be interested in potentially occasionally collaborating with us at the farmers market as well. We can see if that's of interest to them.
Sounds great.
Okay, other business, anything else we missed? Anything else anyone is wanting to talk about? No? All right. I think with that we can adjourn. I will type up the meeting minutes. And thank you everybody for your time. This was a good one. We got a lot of good stuff here. So
Yeah.
thanks everybody. And again, I would just also like to say congratulations, Dan, and welcome to the team.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
All right,
Glad to have you.
let's have fun. This is great.
Thanks
Yep.
everybody.
Good night.
Good
Good
night,
night.
everybody.
Right.